Welcome to our homestead. We're glad you're here. We love having a greenhouse on our homestead. It provides so many different benefits for the home gardener, the homesteader. We're going to talk about all of those today. It's many more than you probably think. And I think all of you need to have a greenhouse on your property. Let's get going. So this is our 20 by 40 greenhouse. I originally built one myself, and that served us well for several years, and it was very inexpensive to do so, but after a while you really need to upgrade. So the original one, you can click on the video on the top of the screen to see how we did it. We did it for around $300. And that original little one I made by myself, I believe was only 14 by 12, something like that. If you watch the video, you'll get the original dimensions. It wasn't that big at all, and it was really difficult to do anything in there, to be honest. But this one is 20 by 40, and it provides us a ton of room for our raised beds here, and I still have room on the ends for some additional potted plants and work tables and things like that. And then here in the middle, I'm going to be putting a slim raised beds for our tomatoes here in the center, which will give us the opportunity to tie them up to the center purlin, which is very nice and tall. You can see we've got them tied up over on the side, but they will be better in the center. So of course, the very first benefit is that this is a microclimate. And what is great about it is it's highly controllable. It is way more controllable than having a garden just out on your property. If you need to grow things that need very special attention, this is the place to do it. Now, if you are interested in this type of greenhouse, then go click on this series of videos at the top of the screen. That is our series showing us how to assemble this entire greenhouse by yourself. Well, honestly, the only thing that I didn't do on this by myself was pull the plastic over the top. It's much easier with two people, and my wife helped me. And if you want one like this, we got this from a company called Grower Solution out of Tennessee, and it's a family-owned company made in the USA, which is really cool. And if you use the link below the video, you can get 10% almost everything on their website. I think the only exclusion is the shade cloth. So what the greenhouse allows you to do with that control is control the temperature. So I have the roll-up side kit on mine, and I have the end wall kit, and I put doors on the end. So that allows me to get wind flowing through here, get a lot of cross ventilation, which is really, really nice for cooling it down in the hot summer. Additionally, you can put on shade cloth, which I highly recommend, especially if you live in an area like mine, which is East Texas. It's pretty hot down here the past couple of months. But as you can see, that hasn't affected things really that much here in the greenhouse. Obviously, in the summertime, you can use fans that are mounted on the greenhouse along with the open sides and open ends to control that temperature a little bit better. And in the wintertime, you're closed up. You can insulate it from the nasty cold temperatures outside, and you can put in a small heater. Boom, you're done. You can't do that outside in your garden. Now, a benefit of that is being able to grow things that you normally wouldn't be able to grow in your climate or your environment. You can see behind me, this is malunggay, or some people call it moringa. It's a superfood, it's super high in vitamin C. You can get it in powdered form at the health food store. It's all the rage right now, and it's growing unbelievably well. It's a tall tree, so I do need to trim it. And then things behind me like this banana, which live in here all the time, or our citrus trees, which stay in here year round. Now for my zone 8B, a lot of these things that I just mentioned will grow outside in the summertime, but they will die back in the winter. And they won't produce fruit very well for you at all because of that cycle of dying off. Especially bananas, they need to live year-round to be able to produce that fruit for you. So essentially, since we do have this covered microclimate, what does that enable us to do? That enables us to garden year-round. That lets us do things that we were not able to do out in our garden, just open to the air. Talking about open air, let's talk about the next one, diseases. So a lot of diseases like fire blight and tomato blight are airborne. So being inside of the greenhouse, you have less of a chance that those diseases are going to be carried by the wind onto and into your greenhouse. Now, additionally, along those same lines, the greenhouse will help to keep out pests. You're going to have a lot less pest pressure inside your greenhouse than you do out in your open air garden. And depending on the size of your greenhouse, it's going to be much easier to control them because you have a smaller environment. Outside in the garden, even if you do spray, say, something off of your tomatoes, whatever it is, stink bugs, those stink bugs could be living somewhere else outside near the garden and come back in pretty easily. Inside the greenhouse, control, again, much easier. So another solid benefit is, especially in the springtime, you can start your seeds earlier in the ground. So that gives you a leg up on growing things if you have a short season. So that's extremely beneficial if you live in the northern states. Depending on the temperature that you keep your greenhouse in the wintertime, you can start seeds potentially if there's snow still on the ground. So another thing is that you can keep your plants under control a little bit better. For me, it's just easier, and maybe that's just me, to control the plants and contain them within their garden beds, or whichever way you plant in your greenhouse, maybe it's in the ground. It's easier to control that than it is out in the garden, and you're getting less weed seeds, which is another benefit. So weed seeds, like you know, carried through bird droppings and in the wind, and it is a lot better here in the greenhouse. I have a lot less weed pressure, if any at all. So I don't see myself ever moving from this property, but if I did, that thing can be taken apart and transported with me. That's a huge benefit to it. Yes, I can't take the soil with me, but taking all the garden fencing and everything that goes with the garden, not so easy. But this way, I can set up a controlled growing environment wherever I go, but I'm not going anywhere. So a lot of people like the way greenhouses look. So if aesthetics on your property is something that's important to you, a greenhouse can enhance that. But definitely don't make that the main reason you get a greenhouse, because it's definitely the least important. So the last thing is watering. Watering is important for your plants, obviously, and sometimes you can't control it depending on your environment. But since we are inside of our own microclimate here, we can control it, and it's especially important with fruits like tomatoes, which need a certain consistent amount of watering to be able to grow, not split the fruit, or grow well, so on. So I also showcased on a previous video how to put in your own drip irrigation system. This one is also from Grower Solution. They have a lot of different things for the home gardener and the homesteader, and it was super simple to put together. And of course, you can use the discount code for that as well. So for us, we love having this greenhouse on the homestead. It provides us an invaluable tool for doing a lot with our food supply for our family. And that's probably the biggest benefit out of anything. Now, I know a lot of you probably don't have room for something this big. Maybe you do, maybe you have room for something bigger. I know that they have small ones, probably 14 by 20 feet, and really big ones. I think they're up to 80 feet, 20 feet wide by 80 feet, maybe 24, maybe even 30. I don't know. They got a ton of stuff. Go check them out. But we are really happy with the quality of this greenhouse and what we got for our money. Okay, now go check out these videos right here, which is the full playlist on how we built this greenhouse by ourselves, almost. Have a beautiful, blessed day. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.